I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to make it this year. Let's get to it. Hi everyone, I'm Sandy. Welcome back to my channel. Today I have 1,001 book countdown for you. If you're not familiar with the 1,001 book countdown, I will leave a card up here for you, which is the original video about this project. But basically, I'm reading books off of the 1,001 books you must read before you die list and slowly working my way through this massive project. I made it 3 times harder for myself because I actually combined all editions together, which gave me 1,300 books to read, 1,315 books to read. And it's taken some time, I'm not going to lie, to make it through all of those books. It is a passion project of mine that I've been working on for a number of years, and I still really like it because I am such a list person. Crossing these things off of a list, even if it's not the book maybe that I find the most interesting, I still really, really love crossing things off the list. So hopefully you consider giving me a subscribe and sticking around and seeing how long it takes me to make it through this massive, massive project of mine. Ooh, it's going to take a bit. So, but for today, what we will go ahead and do is put up the numbers, which are 838. That's my main number that I have left of the 1,315 books, and 6. Now, every year at the beginning of the year, I pre-select 52 books with the idea that I would read 1 per week, and with the idea of maybe getting that number down to 0 at the end of the year. That would be phenomenal. I have not been successful at that any year that I've been documenting this out here on YouTube. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to make it. We'll see, because I didn't get as many books read as I wanted to over the last 2-week period. So it hasn't been as successful the last couple of weeks as I necessarily wanted, but that's okay. That's okay. I'm going to keep saying that because I still could do it. I still definitely could do it. So the first book that I'm going to talk about today is Reine, Margot by Alexandre Dumas. Now, Alexandre Dumas has 3 books on the 1,001 list of Count of Monte Cristo, The Three Musketeers, and this one. This was the last one that I had to read. This book was originally published as a serial between 1844 and 1845. And I can definitely see that and how the book kind of is laid out, that it would have worked really, really well as a serial. This is a historical fiction novel, and it has a large number of real people in it with fictionalized circumstances and some real circumstances. So the book is set in 1572, centers around the start of St. Bartholomew's Day, which is the day that King Charles IX ordered the mass murder of a lot of the Huguenots in Paris. And it was a bloody, bloody, bloody day. And that's where we really kind of start in this particular book. So it's setting the stage for just a lot of violence. And this book is exceptionally violent. There are devious characters in this particular book. The Queen mother that's in it, the brother-in-law, the sister, all of these people that are just trying to do all this political maneuvering to end up so that they could be in power. There are a couple of fictional characters in here that are really kind of the heroes of the novel. And sometimes they're friends, sometimes they're not friends, and then they're friends again. I really like those two. The 2 characters are woven all throughout this particular book, and they really do help kind of bring the cohesiveness of this book together, because you kind of have them all throughout. At times, this is very confusing. I'm not sure exactly who is trying to do what to whom. There's some poison involved. It's not good for certain people. Yeah, and the ending, the ending, I was pretty upset. My part of the ending. I would recommend this book if you don't mind a very violent read. It is absolutely very well done, but you jump right into the violence, and it happens over and over and over again in this book, to different degrees of severity, essentially. But yeah, I'm so glad I read this one. I really am a big fan of Dumas. I read The Count of Monte Cristo as one of my first classics, and I will always remember that. And then I jumped right into The Three Musketeers and loved that. I don't think that this one is quite up to the level of those 2 for me, but it was a good, solid 4-star read. And that is Reine, Margot. So with this book, we get to go from 838 to 837, and of course, it was on my 2023 list, so that number gets to go from 6 down to 5. Okay, I'm not done though. So the next book that I have, Oh, the next book. The next book was a trial. I will say that right off of the top, so much so that I considered DNFing it, but was saved for one reason. And the book is City of God by E.L. Doctorow. E.L. Doctorow actually has 5 books on the countdown. And this is the second one that I read. The first one, I ended up only giving it 3 stars, so it wasn't, necessarily that good of a book. From what I can tell, this book was published in 2000, and man, I started reading this particular book and I ended up getting the audiobook from the library to kind of help me get started in it, and quickly realized this is a stream of consciousness novel. It is all throughout this. That's all it is this one person or multiple points of view and being in their head for the whole thing. Sometimes you're talking about Einstein. Sometimes you're talking about World War II. Sometimes you're talking about God. Sometimes you're talking about the crucifix that was stolen off the wall. All over the place. It is just absolutely wild, this particular book. I seriously considered DNFing this book after about 20 pages or so. I gave it a little bit more time. I started listening to it. I primarily listened to this because I don't think I could have gotten through it as an actual read. It slowly progressed to about a 1 star, 1.5 star read. And the only reason I feel like some of that happened was because the narrator on the audiobook was phenomenal. And the audiobook was 12 hours long, but the narration of it was so slow that I ended up having to double that speed, which I rarely do that. I rarely double it. I might speed it up a little bit, but I don't like it when the narrator starts to sound like Alvin from Alvin and the Chipmunks. So I rarely speed it up that much. So it ended up being about a 6-hour audiobook, and I just would have it on when I was doing anything, when I went for a walk, when I was making dinner, whatever it was. I just had it on in the background. But oh man, I did not like it. No. It's definitely going to end up on the bottom worst of list for the next 100 books that I've read, because no, me and stream of consciousness is tough to begin with. I can get through some of them. I can enjoy some of them. I really like Samuel Beckett's, the first book in the trilogy that I read in September. I love parts of To the Lighthouse by Virginia Woolf. No, I wouldn't recommend this one. It just wasn't my favorite. Now, if you're a fan of stream of consciousness, this may work really, really well for you. It just was not for me. So yeah, that's this book. But this book, we do get to go from 837 to 836. And thankfully, it was on my 2023 list. So that number gets to go from 5 down to 4. 4. And that's all I have. I didn't make it. I wanted one more. I wanted to go into this next couple of weeks only having 3 to read, but I didn't quite get there. I have been working on Nana by Emile Zola. You'll see there's a nice bookmark in there. I'm about a third of the way through this one, and I am enjoying this one quite a bit. I like the character of Nana, though she seems to be a bit problematic at times, but I am really enjoying her character, who just everybody seems to be talking about her. Everything she does and doesn't do, people talk about. So yeah, this one has been going really well so far, and I would anticipate finishing this one in the next probably week or so. I am taking my time with it. I have the audiobook with it as well. I'm listening to it. I'm reading it. I'm making my way through it. But this is actually my book club pick for the month of December. And that's it. That's all I have. I do have my other books here. I have The Black Prince by Iris Murdoch. I have Aaron's Rob by D.H. Lawrence. And I have Money by Martin Amis. That's the goal, to finish those 3. Am I prioritizing those? No, not really. Instead, I read all 4 books that I owned in the Murderbot series. And then I read an Agatha Christie novel. So it doesn't bode well. So have you read either of these books? I'd love to hear what you think of them. Please leave me a comment down below. And as always, like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, everyone, thanks. Bye.